This process of rewilding and the way that you're working with the trees and the shrubs, it's, we thrive inside, but it also creates a more thriving natural environment and brings health back to the soil and to the land. Is that right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So you have a diversity of plants at different levels, regenerating the soil first and foremost, bringing in pollinators, bringing in minerals from deep down. All the plants have a different function in the system. So you see that the diversity adds to the whole and benefits. If you just have apple tree, apple tree, apple tree, they're going to take a long time to grow because they don't have any support. But if you're planting fast growing native trees and chopping and dropping, cutting, pruning back, that's going to stimulate the whole soil biome. And they release exudates, which is a hormone which causes plants to grow more. It basically connects with the mycelial network in the ground, which is, what we know of like the base of mushrooms, and really speeds up the growth of rewilding the whole ecosystem and getting it to a much healthier, productive state. So you're really thinking in whole systems. You're not thinking plant, plant, plant. You're thinking in an ecosystem, in an environment where there's inclusion for everything. And the plants that we call invasive and aggressive, really those ones, by chopping and dropping, that biomass is what builds the soil and heals the soil. So any plant that we really don't want in a certain place, just chopping it and dropping it is going to build up the soil and build up the health of that region. So really no plant needs to be excluded, no plant needs to be demonized. We just need to learn how to use these plants and how to harness what they're offering, their gifts, just like all of us have gifts. How can we be of service? How can we help? How can we feel seen and heard and valued? And how can we see and hear and value?
So the same thing we're talking about with us as people. How do we see each other, hear each other, and be valued? What you're saying is this approach that you've been learning in your travels, because if I get it right, you've traveled around the globe over the last, 5, 8 years, learning and bringing back new approaches that are, in a sense, really at the cutting edge. And they actually communicate and see each other, these different types of plants and sizes of trees. That I find that's fascinating.
Yeah, so the work I was doing in Brazil just this last winter, we were at a place where we had a slope this steep of gravel, not even dirt. And there's certain trees you can propagate. You cut off a certain section of the tree and you just simply stick it into the ground and it will become a whole other tree. So every 3 feet we were doing that on this steep slope, trying not to fall off of it, and having buckets of native seeds of trees, hundreds of different types, and scooping out a handful of 50 seeds in between every foot and a half going down the line. And by doing that for years, they had created from this gravelly wasteland a flourishing food forest of 100 different types of fruit trees and berry bushes and support trees, from what was waste, what was land that no one would think to even be able to grow on. And so if we have some soil, if it's poor soil, it doesn't matter. There are people who are dealing with just rock and they're making amazing things happen because they've studied how nature works and thrives and flourishes. And we could see trees that have quadrupled in size in the food forest by this method of heavy pruning of support species. And the result of that is the tree shoots up.
So what's a support species?
A support species, basically we have focus plants, which will give us a fruit or a nut, and we have support species, which will fix nitrogen, or they'll grow very quickly producing biomass, or in some way they'll add something to the soil to help that focus plant.
So just like we all need some support, you actually can work with nature to create an environment there. Different plants are supporting each other.
Yeah, that's right, that's right. And the main reason is not to have people fall in love with trees and plant trees. The idea is to remember that as human beings, we can take our inspiration from anything. And we take it from the news and the chaos of the world. It's natural that we're going to have chaos inside of us. I like to say, in the tree lines all around us, where are the great problems of the world? They're not there. If we mirror nature And that's how we're being in the world. Nature wants to thrive. You can rip out the mint is going to come back. You can chop down the comfrey is going to come back. Nature wants to thrive at all costs. If that's our inspiration for how we're living in this world, we are unstoppable. Whatever we want to do, we can accomplish. And so it's trying to help people heal the earth and heal themselves and connect